The sweet sound of a real e-bike. I decided to unmothball this. My hub motor's been sitting in the closet for about 2 years since the accident. Still works. I'm in the process now of replacing all the new hulls in it. It fared pretty good. It's a couple of years old now. It doesn't have a spot of rust on it. I gave it a light coating of metal paint when I first popped it open, when I first bought it. It also hasn't shown any signs of burning yet, which is good. It's a little dark over here, but that's from the paint. That's not from the coils getting too hot. But I mean, this thermal probe here does work pretty good. As soon as it reads the heat off the edge of the stator, it turns the fans on. The fans are on a or will be on a voltage regulator that trickles it down from, or goes from 12 volts to 16 volts. These run on 16 volts. They're server fans. San A40s. You can see that. Anyway, they work pretty good. They've been wet a few times and they still work. But like I said, most of the time when they if you get caught in the rain, they're not actually functioning anyway. Like the motor will stay cool. If they turn on it when they're wet, it'll probably fry them. But I haven't had that problem yet. I had to scrape off all the old silicone on the edge of the plates, as well as on this one here, and clean it up a bit. One thing I do is I don't like to put silicone all the way around the plate, only because if you do get water in the holes or in the motor, it has a way to come out. So what I do is I put a drop in between each hole. This way the water has a way to vent out. And also what it does is, these aren't machined like with the extreme tolerances, and the plate will actually move around a bit. And when it does that, it basically, I can't see this here yet. It basically loosens the screws off, and the screws fall out. So the silicone actually helps it from doing that, loosening up the screws. And so it does two purposes. It semi-seals, and it also keeps the screws from loosening up and the plates from shifting, which they will do. I guess I'll take you outside and give you an update on the actual cargo bike itself. The other bike sold. It sold today. It's gone. Thank God. I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to lie, guys. Those e-bikes are fun to ride for, I don't know, for a bit. They're clunky. They're plasticky. You hit a bump and it sounds like you got a trailer full of plastic. It's kind of sad, actually, and you really can't go that far. Like I'm a modder, so I'm constantly changing what I'm doing. And with that e-bike, the standard e-bike, you really can't. You can't once you mod it. Like I put the big ass controller on it. That's it. That's all you can really do to it, except replace parts on it. So I'm looking forward to getting back to the cargo bike. So I'm also lost for words. It's been a busy day. I'm looking forward to putting the cargo bike back on the road, because then I can constantly design stuff for it and everything else, which I enjoyed before. So I'm going to stick to it. I'm also going to be, these batteries I picked up 3 years ago, still running strong. Best money I ever spent on lithium batteries. So I'm going to use the same BMS again. I have to wire it all up for 48 volts. The pack that I was going to use for a battery backup, that's going to be my booster pack again. I'll actually take you outside and we'll have a look at the cargo bike itself. Well, this is how far I've got so far. I had to sand all the rust off the frame. These bikes were pretty rusty. It's going to be repainted. The pivot point, which is right here, is basically be this part here. And then I took a Dremel and a grinder, and I cut the ends off with the caps, and then there's a axle that goes through and bolts up. These will be bolted to the frame eventually and bolted down in case it breaks free. I won't lose the back end. As you can see, that one's not even all the way up. Oh, there's that one. But that way the axle's all the way through there, and you got this solid hinge here to work with versus going through here, which actually works pretty good. This part here that carries the load is actually from the other frame. It's the top tube, but basically cut it here and cut it there, or this tube here, and cut it down there. As you can see, I've narrowed it so it fits in the frame where the shock would have went in the old frame. So that narrowed that down, and I cut it up there. And as you can see, I notched it out to go around the back of the dropout there, and it's bolted through. I'm going to end up either hinging it, clamping it, or putting a piece of rubber in there to give a little bit of support. I don't want metal against metal, or even get it welded. But the hole from here over will have to be painted. The rest I'm just going to leave it. The rear disc adapter fits. I just got to put a bracket here to hold the swing arm for it. For that, yeah, it's coming along pretty good. Well, I can't really show you, but the long board from my old one will be pretty much like that, roughly. Probably be about right there, like that. For to hold that board in place, I set this up with the seat post. This goes in the tube, which it's not going to do now. Yeah, it's not going to fit. Not unless I loosen it off. But that goes in there like that, and it's adjustable. And then I have a bar that comes across this way. 2 bars coming up in the back. And then there's going to be 4 bars across, aluminum bars, all bolted together, that mount to this bar that goes across this way. And the surfboard goes on top of that, or the longboard. And then I have, for the sides, I have a ordering up a wagon for parts off of Amazon. It's about $130. That'll have the same brackets that I had on my old bike for mountain bags and everything else. Just a lot of drilling and cutting, but it should look like the old one. It's straight. And then we had to do something with the front end. It's pretty pathetic. Got to lose the forks. I got another pair of forks here that aren't the best, but they're clean the rust off of them. At least they're cleaner. Don't look as junky as the other ones. I prefer putting these ones on it versus the other ones. Should fit. Yeah, that'll fit. Pretty much the same size. I'll just use those for now. Because eventually this bike here, from here over, will be replaced with a better frame. With a threadless head. It's the back end that's most important. As long as I can line it up with the shock and the bottom mount there, then I can pretty much use any frame I want. You can see it's pretty straight. So that's about as far as I've got so far. I've got to start ordering some parts. The wagon, the new tires, the rims and everything I got in the basement. As you've seen, it's the hub motor and the front rim is disc brake compatible, so I'll have to figure something out there. Later, guys. Apparently when I took it apart yesterday, I didn't actually tighten it up, and that's why you're going to have these brackets mounted to the frame. Wow, that would be bad if you're riding along and all of a sudden it did that. Wow.